What is this?
This is the Young God.
Wait.
This episode is powered by Zuma Coffee. Visit at ZumaCoffee_ on Instagram to learn more. Let's start.
Hey Rodney, how are you doing? I'm rounding up my year and I want to end it on a high by coming on as a guest on The Young God. I finally went to therapy this year and I can't tell you how much of a game changer it's been for me in every sense. Within only a few months of my healing journey, I've completed a 5-track EP that I'll be releasing first quarter next year. I've added 3 additional stories to my upcoming children's book. I've written a 15-episode young adult series and so much more. All these are in addition to increased self-love, better relationships, and overall calm and happy life. So, I'm hoping that we can have a conversation exploring the influence our state of mind has on creativity. Please let me know how we can make it work.
If you ask, you will receive. Yes! My name is Rodney Amokache, and you are welcome to The Young God, a podcast for gods.
Yep. Stand back, gotta talk. Watch cost.
You're welcome to this very special episode of The Young God.
Thank you, finally.
You and I have been talking about doing a podcast.
I know, right?
When we first met, the
Yep.
first few months of our meeting.
Yeah.
And that was dead in the water.
Yep.
But
Life is back.
yeah.
Right.
But we're here now,
Yep.
almost a year and some months
Several
later.
months, yeah.
Do you want to use these first 5 minutes to introduce yourself?
So it's the Mansura, creative entrepreneur, writer. I write children's storybooks. Or rather, I'm creating a children's story brand for the African child and for every other kid in the world. I wrote a 5-piece EP that I hope to publish by Q1 of next year. I'm also a screenwriter, so I write movies, series, all kinds of stories, short film series. Again, hoping to take that to the screens next year. I'm also hoping to write my first manuscript the year, maybe next year or the next 2 years. Yeah, so that's pretty much who I am.
You're busy.
I do many other things, but yeah, for my creative journey, I'm mostly a writer.
Who did your headgear?
I bought it from a friend.
Did it come tied like that?
Yeah.
It comes tied like that?
Yep. And then you just put it up.
So do you like ties on your head first to get the size?
No, you just go. It's like a shirt. You just go get your size and it fits. You wear it.
So they like measure your head?
They don't. Like when you walk into a store, literally I wear medium. Fine, pick medium and go.
So you like have a
It's
medium
ready
size
made.
head?
Maybe you're small. Maybe that is small. Yeah.
Right now we're at Zuma Coffee.
Yep.
3rd floor of Abia House, and we've just been treated to some very, very delightful coffee. Let's have a sip to that.
The best coffee I've had in Abuja.
You're not just saying that, are you?
In Nigeria, no, actually, I said it earlier. Like it's really good. You can taste the freshness of it, and it's not adulterated. So
Yeah, it's
it's fresh,
black.
authentic.
Sometime last week, you sent me a very, very interesting message.
Yep.
Can I read it for the audience?
Yeah, sure, 100%.
So, after Hey Rodney, how are you doing? You talked about going back into therapy this year and how that changed everything in every sense
Absolutely.
of the experience. And at that point, you had my attention. When I get a guest on this podcast, I look for a reason to get up for it.
Yeah.
Because you can't talk to everybody.
Of course.
And you can't give your audience just anybody,
Yeah.
right? But then you now said you went to therapy again this year and it's done wonders. And you're hoping that we can explore conversations around the influence that our mindset or state of mind has on creativity.
100%.
And then you now listed all the different ways that you've been super productive.
Yep, some of them.
So this is just
only
the tip of the iceberg.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
Oh gosh, you're gonna tell us more, right?
100%. And it's me selling therapy to people, so yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So just to list it out for the audience before you add the other ones.
Let's go.
You've completed a 5-track EP, as you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Releasing next year in Q1. You're writing. You've written additional 3 to 4 stories for your children's book.
Yep.
And you've written a 15-episode young adult series.
Yep.
This is after therapy.
All of the therapy.
In addition to, and this from the message still, increased self-love, better relationships, and overall a calm and happy life.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yep. Let me even speak to the last one. So when I was walking up now, I mentioned earlier how, this month has been, it's been the month. So before therapy, with the, everything just going back to back to back, I would have had very high levels of stress.
Right.
Like I'd actually feel stressed. Now I feel tired, not stressed. And you're tired because you're exerting yourself, but you're not mentally stressed. So there's no negative thought to it. It is, I have time to rest and relax. I can take a break. I know that I've exerted myself so much this month. But yeah, we can carry on and move on. So but prior to now, it would have been, God, I'm so stressed. I'm lashing out. I'm just angry. And at the end of the day, you don't get to see the results because, you're not putting your 100% into it. Right. But now that I'm tired, I know I can take a break and say, you know what, I've got into my peak. Let's take 2 days off, refresh, and then come back into it. And that's what therapy did. That's what therapy does and is doing for me.
And that's what they call like living life well.
Absolutely.
Because again, it's how you deal with the stress.
Stress
will always come.
It will come.
Especially if you're somebody who is an overachiever.
Yep.
Who likes to get things done and like make plans and do them.
And particularly perhaps a multi-potentialite or what you call multi-hyphenate, right? You can do so many things and you find yourself doing these many things and you can easily burn out, right? But it's also how you respond to these things now. Like, okay, which will take priority? Which has urgency, and then which can I delegate? And so all of these things, it comes with clarity. Yeah. And again, that's what therapy did for me. Yeah. You can do everything you want to do, but prioritize them, have a quadrant, and place them into their urgency, important, sections. And, therapy is amazing. Please.
So now my question is,
great,
what happened that got you that was like, man, I gotta get into therapy. I need a therapist.
Right. So this year I turned 32.
Okay.
And I think for the past 16 years, I know I've been dealing with all sorts of things. There's been identity crisis, like who are you, where do you stand, where do you fit? And there's that. And that's what, maybe that also sort of speaks to how I have all kinds of friends. So, how some people have a certain group of people and like, this is this person. I can see why you guys are friends. But for me, I have pockets of several pockets. And sometimes people are like, I can't connect why you guys have a relationship, but I see you people together. So there was that identity crisis. And I guess, primarily for me, it was that stress. So 2019, I had my kid 2019. And from 2019 to like 2022, last year, it was just constant. I'm so stressed out. And it was killing me. And of course, hurting relationships. And so this year I was like, I don't care, whatever it takes. If it's just dealing with this stress and managing it properly, because I see other people who get worked up and how they respond to, getting worked up and stressed out. And so I said, this is it. This stress, I want to address it. And I want to know what the root cause is. Let me just solve for this problem. So I went to the therapy. And when you go into therapy, it's like going to the doctor to say, well, I have a headache. But the doctor says, yes, the headache is a symptom of something. That's not yes, you can see that you have a headache, but it's something bigger than that. And so we had to scratch the surface. It made me understand myself a lot more. And then we could then start to build solve for those foundational problems. And then say, okay, let's address this. This is why this is this way. This is why you have identity crisis. This is what you can do moving on. This is why you're always stressed. This is why you start things and don't finish them. this is why you get burnt out very quickly. And so it was just so revealing for me, so revealing. And I think at first it's cliche, but I totally agree with it that when you know a problem, half of it is already solved, right? And so it was knowing that, oh, these were the causes of all these things, half of it was already solved. And now it's just, how do you manage it better? How do you move on with it? And how do you grow in this process, in this journey? So yeah, it was pretty much that.
And so what inspired you to want to like talk about it on a podcast, no less? Like what is it about that has happened, or this feeling that you're feeling that, man, I have to talk about this, I have to share this?
Right, so it's so many things. For me, it is sometimes you're so clouded by everything, because life is so fast, so quick, so many things happening at the same time. The only thing that helps me to slow down is therapy, right? So like intentionally. So music would, an escape, movies, escape, food. For some people, it's sex and drugs and whatever. But for me, therapy is so intentional and deliberate. So seeing how people were responding and reacting, relationships getting like burns, people were burning bridges. I'm like, it's not this hard though. What is the problem? And so when I saw how, and for some people I've carried that from that 2020 to 2023, and I'm like, there's a problem. You need to go and check this. And so I think for me, that's why everywhere I go to now, I preach therapy to people, everybody. Like, you won't get tired of me. My parents, my siblings, my husband, everybody, like, go to therapy. And it's not that you need therapy because, you're sick. No, it's not about that. It is that there is room for improvement. You can be better. Like, I know you, I see you, I know part of your story. You know what you're dealing with. And if you go into therapy, you would see. And what I also learned was once you clock 30, or maybe once you hover around 30, maybe you're in your late 20s or early 30s, please start getting yourself ready to therapy, because, when you sit in that age, I think that's when everything starts to come to you. Your parents see you as a full-blown adult, so they start to dump. The younger ones see you as a full-blown grown-up, they start to dump. And you also start to see things and start to link things up. You cannot shoulder everybody's problems.
Yeah.
You have your problems at the end of the day. So therapy is like, let's even understand, and then let's see, okay, how do we deal with it? How do we move on from it? And how do we carry everybody along? The more the merrier, right? So let's have more sane people so that, we also can enjoy ourselves as a community.
One of the secrets behind my prolific podcast production is coffee. While I research and write scripts, I'm sipping coffee. Before I record, I brew some coffee. While I edit, coffee is right there. But not all coffee are made equal. There are levels to those little beans. And that's why I've partnered with Zuma Coffee for my coffee needs. Zuma Coffee grows, roasts, and sells their own coffee beans. They sell all kinds of tools and gadgets for brewing the perfect cup, all within their cozy little cafe, right here in Abuja. Thanks to Zuma Coffee, my coffee game has leveled up substantially. So when I say this episode is powered by Zuma Coffee, I mean it. To see for yourself, visit the cafe or the Instagram page at ZumaCoffee_. Tell them the young God sent you for a discount. I saw my first therapist in 2021 or 2020 for my 2021 for my 30th birthday. I gave myself the gift.
Nice.
I said, also they were offering free therapy.
Okay.
For 3 sessions or so. So like, you know what? Okay, I've never needed therapy. But this will also be an interesting adventure just to see,
what are you going to unravel?
What they're going to unravel, Can they keep up with me? Because already because of what I do and just how I am, a lot of people sort of like refer to me as their therapist sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
I don't like it, but
I don't.
I feel like I'm way more interesting than a therapist.
Okay.
But that's still for another day.
Yeah.
So I went and I found it very, very helpful. I found, not because I had any demons to unpack, but it was really nice getting a different perspective on my story.
Right.
And where my head was at.
Right.
And so by the time we had done our 3rd session, she described my mind as, there's a Greek word that she used, eunoia.
Okay.
So eunoia is Greek for a well mind, a well
Interesting.
yeah, that's what that was. And in fact, it was so crazy because by the time we were done, I became her therapist.
Oh, yeah. You switched the tables.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
And I guess it was just a function of I was very, very open about,
Okay.
you know, every aspect of my life, my relationship with whomever,
Yeah.
My childhood, my fears, whatever.
Right.
In fact, I did a whole podcast on it.
All right.
Where I called it the most powerful thing my therapist said to me. Link in the description of this episode.
Interesting.
Because at the end of the thing, she said some things that was...
I'll go listen to that one.
That were really, that hit me here.
All right.
Like, yo, okay, this is when therapy's done right. So I felt it when you were saying that.
Yeah.
When therapy's done right, it
Absolutely.
can...
You'll be like, damn, okay.
You feel appropriately seen.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's the key word there, appropriately seen. So now, how has that, let's say, clearing of the fogginess of your mind's eye affected your creativity?
Right, so I like the word that you said, fogginess. You know how the fog is. You're not sure, like, what am I seeing on the other side? Can I get through? Can I, walk through? And for me, it's always been like that. Also, bear in mind that I have like a blurred vision, actually.
Yeah, thick-ass glasses.
And so it was, but you have this capacity to do things. So why are you not doing them? What is this? Oh, it's not good enough. I don't know. For me, it's not even imposter syndrome. It's just, why should I do it? Why should the world say it? Why shouldn't they know I'm good enough? Literally, like, I'm seeing someone who's making this type of art, and I'm like, yeah, but I can do that. But why does the world need to know that I can do that? They should know that I can do that. Yeah. How are they gonna know? How are they going to know? Yeah. And I think one of the things that therapy did was to sort of unravel that, there's some fear. There's not accepting that, you can also fail. There's not accepting that if you put it out there, people may not take it like you've put it out there. They may not take it like, oh, this is the best thing. Maybe it will come out and 5 years later, they're like, oh, okay, that was nice that year. But, the moment you put it out. And so it's that there was some sense of overconfidence, in a way, very gloated, ego. But it was, it is me, But and it's crazy for some people that would push you to do more and show the world. And, like, F all of you, I've done it. Yeah. Take it however I give it to you. Yeah. But it was a flip for me. I wasn't doing. And so it was all in my head, like, yeah, I'm good, I'm great. But you have nothing to show for that greatness. Right. And so what therapy helped me to do was, take out those fears. Just do it anyway. People would take it. The thing I love about art is like water. It finds its own people. It finds its own space, right? And whatever art you put out there, people will take it how you've given it to them. Now, they can then choose to interpret based on their circumstances, time, emotions, or feelings of that time as well. And so it was, I've done 30 years of thinking in my head, or just leaving everything in my head. And therapy is like, go for it, just do it. Like, actually, if you think you're that good, show the world that you're that good. Yeah. Show yourself that you're that good. Yeah. So that when you think about it, you can actually see it. There's something to hold on to. There's something to point towards. Yeah. And I think that's what have opened my mind to the creativity that I've had inside of me. If you go through my phone or my laptop, I have God knows how many folders, how many documents, or crazy ideas that 5-6 years down the line, somebody's doing it or doing something similar. I'm like, yeah, but I had the idea, so. But now it says, yeah, I've done it, and then you also see that, I've seen that I then start to attract my kind of people as well.
Please forgive me for interrupting your vibe right now, but I just had to shout out the legendary Young God community on WhatsApp. That is an exclusive group where committed, consistent listeners of the podcast gather to share their thoughts on the themes discussed. If you would like to connect with me and other members of this community, you can join the group via the link in the description of this episode or via any of the links on my social media at I am the Young God on Twitter and at the Young God Pod on Instagram. Do follow, do subscribe, do leave a review if you're enjoying this episode, share with your friends and fam. And now let's get back to the show. Where was I?
I had a miscarriage in 2020. I didn't even know I was pregnant. And then I had a miscarriage, and no, it's fine. It's part of life. It happened, right? So you can't, and that's one thing I learned from therapy. Whatever it is that happened. It is first admitting that this thing happened. It is then how do we want to move on with what has happened? How do we want to deal with this thing that has happened? We cannot erase it from our lives. And in fact, everything that happens propels you or has pushed you to where you are today.
Yeah.
It's what you then want to make out of that experience. For me, the first step is therapy. So I wrote this EP called Beyond the Couch, and I struggled. So if it comes out and you see my synopsis on it, I struggled with, should I put this out? I don't even sing. I'm just a writer. Like, why am I putting it out? Okay, so how would it change someone's life? And that's that whole whispers of, oh, nah, you shouldn't. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
but what, this is beyond the couch. We've done this. We've had these conversations. We're healing. So put it out there, please. And so, yeah, that's sort of like the reason I did that. And I'm genuinely hoping that it touches one person, 2 people, 5 people, but more than just something that makes you feel happy, feel good. It is, please seek therapy if you need to. If it's something that, it would change your life. It literally would.
So do you still go to therapy?
Oh, yes, it's continuous for me. And the good thing is this, again, so prior to having a kid, I was a gym junkie. Prior to having a kid. Yeah. And then I had a kid and I was like, what's this? And 5 years down the line, I'm like, I can't even recognize this person in the mirror. And so what therapy also helped me to do was, it's happened. It's your body. Accept it. It is then, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to tone up? Do you want to... But it's first of all accepting that this is who I am. Like, when anyone sees the Mansura, this is what they're saying, right? You can then improve on that. You can get better with it. And so I started to gym. I went to gym on Saturdays. So don't let me say I've started gymming. I am beginning the process because my body still hurts. So, and in addition to continuous therapy, of course. So therapy for me before was every week for like 4 or 5 months. And then now it's okay. We've got into a great part. And so it's once a week now, but it's continuous until we get to the part where, because mine was layers. And so it's, addressing these layers, these different layers, and then sort of taking the boxes again. So it's continuous. And then, but the good thing is I can then add things. I can, add going to the gym now. I can add eating healthily. I can add, healthy habits. I play table tennis. And now I'm trying to build a community of women should come out to play table tennis. Please, if you can play table tennis or you're interested, write to the man to carry you to Jabi. And we'll play table tennis. And just anything that helps you to expel excess, just those worries that we carry in us.
I'm always a fan of anybody at any time who starts to get their mind back.
Yep.
Because when you get your mind back, you get your life back.
You get everything back.
Right? Like, they always say the mind can be a cruel master or a faithful servant.
Yep.
And so you always want your mind to serve you, not the other way around.
Absolutely.
And for that, you have to dispel all those traumas. You have to get your ego in check. You gotta
Everything.
sort of decide what you're going to use it for, as opposed to just using it, like not thinking about it. You have to be more conscious, more mindful. That's where the word mindfulness comes
absolutely.
from. Being mindful of your mind, the thoughts, the actions, the words, the way the mind thinks of itself. Because the power of the mind is not a joke. Think about it. If the human mind is capable of taking someone to the moon, imagine what it can do to you if you let it go.
Right? I know.
Crazy. It can mess you up.
Yep.
So when you understand what it's capable of, you're like, I need this mind to work for me. Because, and from that point, I think for me, what works for me is I've always been good at being my own therapist. And where that came from is, I think very early on, I sort of came to understand these things before. I think since I was maybe my early 20s.
Interesting.
I began to really explore or understand these things. And then I sort of now understood why I was the way I was, the things I was reading, and then the things I wanted to do or be. As from that point on, I got the information that would help me just maintain myself. And so what will happen is, And this is where therapy is really interesting, because therapy helps you unpack
It does.
things that you've maybe put behind
Absolutely.
and you have accumulated over years. Like you're saying your
years.
early 30s,
Yeah.
things that happened since you were 7 years old
I know, right?
that have just stayed
Yep.
there.
Yep.
So what I learned was on my own, I started going back to things and like understanding why I did this
Exactly.
thing
Yeah.
or why this thing happened.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to maybe my mid-20s, like got back to the moment in time,
Yeah.
I had decluttered my past.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was no baggage,
Yeah.
holding me back
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
I could just live now. But for most people, it's like they don't think of it. They just keep
We're
living
on autopilot.
and things. And then going
piling up,
forward,
yeah.
if anything happened, I will unpack it as soon as
Right
it
there
happened.
and then, yeah.
I won't I won't be a coward.
There's
and,
no room. Yeah.
so those things help me to stay fresh, help me move forward in life,
Absolutely.
help me deal with
Well,
failure
those are great tips. Yeah.
and L's. Yeah, it's again the mind, it can
100%.
mess you up once you leave it to its own
100%.
devices. It's like a
100%,
child.
yeah.
You say, oh, you put
Just
it like
roam around.
just go do your thing. The child will mess up everything.
Come back and see all the kettles on the floor and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when I got to my therapist at that time, and I sort of intimated these things.
Yeah.
She asked, "Are you sure you don't?" And then
Let's move this. Let's switch this sets. Yeah.
the way it switched, she didn't even see it coming. So I asked her, because I thought we were just talking. So I asked her, "How did you choose
To
your
do with
profession,
this profession,
to
yeah.
be a therapist?" Because I want to understand, like, why does anyone choose to
Yeah.
purposefully take in other people's demons?
Count.
That's what you're basically doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Every time you sit down, you're gonna probably meet somebody
Definitely.
who has some wild
I'm telling
ass
you.
shit that's happened to them.
yeah.
And now it's your problem.
Yeah.
Because they paid you. Right?
Yeah.
And you know this. A human being can only take so much negative energy. Imagine everybody just telling you all the shit is going on in their life.
Just dumping on you.
How you going? Like, how do you decide that's the life you're gonna live?
Yeah.
Right? And so it turns out that she also had her own, like, is it also a trauma response?
Yeah. Right.
And the mind is crazy. Whether you're a therapist or whatever you are,
yeah.
everybody has something
Definitely.
that they have to contend with. But the gift of it I learned also is that every trauma that we have
Yeah.
is sort of like the thing, the signpost that says, if you're able to overcome this thing,
Absolutely.
you'll be amazing.
Yep.
Like, this is your thing. If you notice it and you're able to, like, get over this thing, you will become a god out here.
I think it would be amazing if people could actually, like, sort of take that in and say, oh, you know what, I'm going through this shit right now. I've already gone through this thing. And if I'm able to overcome this, man, I'm the next big thing.
Yeah.
I think many of us, or many people get stuck in those moments and in those things that
Yeah.
they can't just, it's hard
Yeah.
to come out of it. It's hard to see that other side as, oh my God, there's something big there. And yeah, I think, if you want to self-therapize, yes. I guess again, it's the mind. Some people can, some people can't.
Yeah.
And, and I think it's for those who can't that I would say visit a therapist. Go to a good therapist.
Yeah.
Try multiple therapists, and if they don't work for you, try the ones that can.
So, I asked you whether you still go to therapist.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is that, at some point you have to now, like,
Own
take off the
it.
training
Yeah.
wheels
Absolutely.
and now, like, you can't see a therapist forever.
Forever, no.
You can't be paying them however much every
Right, every session.
every session. That money needs to go into enjoying your life now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's like, at some point, the skills and things you learn from them,
Absolutely.
you should be able to now, like, do
Use
them
them, yeah.
on your own.
Definitely.
And then also use them on your kids
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Because now you have the information of what could possibly happen
Right.
that could make your kid take a wrong turn
Right.
mentally.
Right.
And start to, hold on to traumas that
Right.
the adulthood would set them back. And one thing in this life, you don't want to spend your adulthood healing.
Absolutely. No, you don't.
You don't, right?
Because there's so many things that can be done.
That you want to do
And
to
to be
enjoy,
done.
right?
You're
But
right.
because you're spending it either there's spending it healing,
Yeah.
or they're spending it suffering.
Yeah.
Those two things happen in
Yep.
most adults'
Yep.
lives.
I agree.
And the sooner you're able to, like, heal,
Yeah.
the better you can actually now go out and
Absolutely. I'm
kill
like,
it.
look at you. I was going to say something about the adulthood and childhood and adulthood. I learned something recently that every adult is you become that adult that you wish you had as a child. And so, like, yeah, you're a reflection. You, as who you are, you're a reflection of the adult you wish you had in your life as a child. And so, I think that sort of also guides me to say, what kind of adult did I want in my childhood? And be that for another child, another human being that is growing. Yes, I mean, they're still your child, but like they would become their own adult at some point.
Yeah.
And then, you don't want to be that source of trauma for for the child when you say you're healing your trauma. And I think if people, again, it's all that intentionality. If you're thinking about being deliberate about these things, it's not easy. It won't come easy at all. So my friends and I, we always joke around. My friends who have kids always joke around, man. There are some days that intentional parenting is in the mud. Because who is this crackhead? Kids are something else entirely. But you're like, being gentle. Can we talk about this? To a 4-year-old, can we talk about this? Just like, we agreed. We have an agreement. And you think you're talking to a sensible person.
Yeah.
But then the next minute you're like, we just had a conversation.
Yeah.
And so, but it's all that intentionality as well. And it's sort of bringing that intentionality into every aspect of one's life.
Oh, and by the way, you can follow the podcast on social media. Twitter, at I Am The Young God. Instagram, at The Young God Pod. I regularly post exclusive content and updates on events, all kinds of things. You don't want to miss that, so please follow. So my last thing to you is this.
Yeah.
Would you say, two things. Would you say through therapy, you found yourself?
Right.
Is that an accurate thing to say?
Accurate. Very accurate, yeah.
So now that you found yourself, the next thing is to create it.
Yep.
You found it, you've accepted it.
Yep.
So what are you trying to create now, going forward?
So I think it's, first of all, I've accepted, I know who I am now. And I think it's sort of painting that picture now to the world. Because now I understand who this person is. When you see me, when Rod sees me, this is what you see. When Oz sees me, this is who this person sees. Like there's no multiple sides anymore. Yeah. Now I may do multiple things because again I'm multi-potential and I own it. But this is who this person is. So when I go somewhere, know me for who I am. This is who I am. Of course it changes. Like I'm not going to be all jumpy and all excited all the time. But like there is the fundamental that makes up who this person is, and it's just taking that. And for me, it is if I'm good physically, if I'm more attractive physically, then how does my mind work as well? Recently, I found out that I stopped reading. I used to read a lot of, it's not reading books. I used to read a lot of things around economics, and then what works in the world. I used to like the stock market. But now what's going on globally, I'm not even interested, I used to consume McKinsey, like I wrote for them, and I had a dream of working with McKinsey at some point. I used to read HBR. I used to read so many things, Financial Times. When I realized that it wasn't like I was doing much with the information, but I had it. And now I'm just like, what am I reading? I'm reading nothing. I'm just consuming. I consume content on Instagram, and I don't know what. So for me, it is again coming back to intentionality. What does this do for me? I box my Instagram content into different collections and collectives. I have funny sometimes, just listen, watch funny stuff and just be happy about it. But it's not endless scrolling of 4 hours, 5 hours, and then you're like, wait, how is it already 5 o'clock? What did all that time go? What did I do with it? And so anyway, so for me, it's across every area of my life. Now that I know some of the things that make me make certain decisions, I can make better, definitely can make better decisions, more intentional about things. Prior to therapy, I would have cancelled onto this conversation. I'll just be like, I'm not in the mood, I'm tired. Just find an excuse and then that's it. What's the worst they would do? Yeah, right. As against, no, get up. You committed to something, get up and do it. What's the excuse? Why not? So go ahead and do it. And so, I think it's just being able to exactly showing up and then showing up across every part of my life. So one doesn't suffer for the other, and so that when you come out, this is like a completely wholesome person. There are people that you meet, and it makes me happy. Like you meet some people, And then you're like, how do you have so much positive energy now? So they come in twos. They may be the very extroverted people that, they're happy, excited, talky, and you're just drawn to them. And there are others that are introverted, but you're still drawn to them. Like, how are you so calm? What's this peace? So that's what I aspire to.
Yeah.
That's what I aspire to. Like, okay.
You know what I'll advise to achieve that? Again, we talked about content just now, right?
Right.
Content is simple, like what you consume.
Yep.
And I think you might want to be watching, I don't know what you watch as TV shows or movies and things like that, but you want to watch stuff where the characters have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You will see, because the way the mind works, where it starts to subconsciously copy that.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you see it manifesting. It's no joke.
Yep.
You know what I'm watching right now?
What?
Smallville.
Okay, haven't heard that.
Smallville is basically the 10 seasons series about the story of Superman from when he was a young man
interesting.
to before he wore the cape.
Okay.
So he didn't wear the cape until season 10.
Nice.
So you're watching him as a young man,
just unravel
learning the powers, dealing with life and
right.
different things around him, and what it means to have those powers and be somebody who, So I'm watching that. Like any Superman content, I watch it because the idea of him, it resonates so much with me. Which is why people that watch a lot of horror, people that watch a lot of all these crime and investigation, all these scary things that just show you the worst of human nature in play. They think it's just entertainment. But those things, they have a very, very funny way of showing up, in your behavior and your thought patterns. And if shit goes down and the only point of reference you have is that you're in trouble.
It's what I said earlier about how there's also you can't take out art from life. Like there's something that art does, whether it's in music or in film or in books or in anything. As long as it's art, it does influence how we think and how we see. So I really like that. Like, what are you consuming to become what you want to be? Definitely.
Yeah. So
I'm looking at that.
That's what's up.
Thank you.
Let's take a moment to pause and breathe. Relieve the tension. Whatever you're doing, close your eyes, take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's resume. What would you say is the most powerful thing your therapist ever said to you?
The most powerful thing that my therapist, or that any therapist at all, has ever said to me is self-care is not selfishness. Self-care isn't selfishness. And this is one thing that I will carry with me forever.
I'm looking forward really to the next maybe 6 to 12 months.
Sure.
And what you do with this newfound
definitely
vim, building on it, because it's very easy to fall off.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
It's very easy, especially at the beginning stage, because when you say you're something, especially I can give you an example of me saying I'm a god, for example.
Right.
It's a very high thing to. It's a very high.
I wonder how you navigate that.
Yeah.
In this community.
Yeah.
A god.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Right.
And I'm tested, especially in the beginning. I was tested every step of the way.
I can imagine.
Now it's
I suppose the test is continuous.
Now it's easier to
manage.
It's easier now, but at first, when people would come at you, or when you be in difficult situations that require you to be the god that you say you are.
Yeah.
And I think saying that out loud really held me accountable.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Being my own therapist. So when I was saying it out loud, people thought it was just a matter of me trying to flex.
Yeah.
But it was really a way to hold myself accountable.
Yep, I totally agree.
To certain things. So I'm really looking forward to see how.
I am looking forward to it.
And there you have it. Mansura, thank you again.
Thank you.
And this is the Young God.
It's got talk. It's got talk.